This is K1DBC. All stations please stand by. The DRC Learning Net will begin in 5 minutes. This is K1DBC. The DRC Learning Net will start in 1 minute. All stations please stand by while the repeaters are placed into net mode.
PL off.
and welcome. This is Kilo 1 Delta Bravo Charlie. My name is Daron, Delta Oscar, Romeo Oscar November. I am net control for the Denver Radio Club Learning Net tonight. This is a directed net for the purpose of connecting amateurs seeking help or advice with Elmers willing to mentor. This net meets every Wednesday, except the third Wednesday of the month at 1930 hours on W0TX repeaters with frequencies 145.490, which is linked with 448.625. Both have a negative offset and a tone of 100. This net can be broken at any time for emergency or priority traffic by using the word break. Is there any emergency or priority traffic at this time? For recognition by net control, please use your call sign. Everyone is welcome. This is an on-air meeting for amateurs seeking help and Elmers giving their time to mentor. If you have any questions for the Learning Net and don't yet have your license or otherwise wish to contact the net, you may do so via email at drclearningnet@gmail.com. You can also find us on our public mailing list, groups.io/g/ham learning net, or on YouTube, live streaming and past nets and meetings, youtube.com/WEREGR8, or if you search on YouTube for W0TX DRC, you should find it as well. This is K1DBC Net Control. We will begin by inviting Elmers only to check in, with or without traffic. All Elmers, please check in now.
Alpha 0 Juliet Kilo. Good evening. And we do have traffic tonight.
All right, Net Control, I'd like to welcome and acknowledge the following Elmer, AA0JK, Fred, with traffic. Thank you for checking in as always.
W0TX repeater.
All right, all other check-ins to the net will be taken in alphabetical groups based on the first letter of the suffix of the operator's call sign. Please use ITU phonetics as you check in and indicate if you have traffic or questions for our Elmers as you do. If your suffix begins with the letters A through M, Alpha through Mike, please check in now.
Kilo 0, Bravo Alpha Tango, Art and Aurora, no traffic.
Kilo 6 Hotel, Juliet Victor, Tom, Arvada, no traffic.
All right, Net Control wishes to thank and acknowledge the following check-ins: K0BAT Art and K6HJV Tom. We'll go ahead and open up the whole alphabet. This is K1DBC Net Control. If you'd like to check into the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net, we're taking all calls. Alpha through Zulu, please check in now.
Kilo Delta 0, Romeo Quebec November, KD0 RQN, David from Westminster, no traffic.
Kilo Echo 0, November Romeo Echo, Jim in Littleton with traffic.
Kilo Echo 0, Uniform Victor Lima, Jason, Denver, no traffic.
Kilo Foxtrot 0, Charlie, Andrew, Island Ranch, no traffic.
November 0, Echo Yankee Zilly, Jim in Littleton, with a question later on.
Kilo Echo 0, Sierra Uniform Mike, Jonathan, Lakewood, no traffic.
Kilo 0, Yankee Echo Sierra, Ken and Broomfield, no traffic.
All right, this is Net Control. We'll go ahead and hold up for just a moment. All right, I had Net Control. I'd like to welcome and acknowledge the following check-ins. KD0 RQN David, KE0 NRE Jim with traffic, KE0 UVL Jason, and then I had Xander KF0 Charlie something, and it broke up just a bit there. Xander, I believe it was Xander in Highlands Ranch. Go ahead once more with your call sign.
This is Andrew, Kilo Foxtrot 0, Charlie Uniform Charlie in Highlands Ranch.
Perfect. Okay, got it that time. Kilo Foxtrot 0, Charlie Uniform Charlie Andrew. Got you checked in. Thank you. And then we had N0EYZ Jim with a question. KE0 SUM Jonathan, and K0YES Ken. All right, another call. If you'd like to check into the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net, we're taking all calls Alpha through Zulu. Please check in now with your call sign, your name, and let us know if you have traffic or questions for the net.
Kilo Echo 0, Tango Hotel India, Paul in Lakewood. No traffic.
All right, and that time we had Kilo Echo 0, Tango Hotel India. Paul, thank you for checking in. There'll be a few opportunities to check in through the net, but if you'd like to check in at the moment, again, this is the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. If you'd like to check in, have any questions, we're here to answer any ham radio related questions, or if you just want to check in for the count, please do so with your call sign, your name, and let us know if you have any traffic or questions. Please go ahead now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. No problem. Yeah, probably a bit lighter during the holiday time. That is just fine, but we got plenty of conversation going on here. So AA0JK, Fred with Traffic Net is yours. Go ahead.
AA0JK, good evening, everyone, and Merry Christmas. I hope everyone has a great holiday. Wishing everyone all the best. But wanted to point out that the latest edition, the November-December issue of On the Air, is up and running, and just wanted to point out some of the topics that they have in the November-December issue. Looks like a lot of material here that would pertain pretty much to a lot of the questions that we have here during the Learning Net from week to week. So I think it'd be quite beneficial to for everyone to have a look-see. But starting out with, they just are really heavy into antennas. In fact, that's how they started out this particular issue, the big picture, a world of antennas. A lot of information going down here, everyone. Probably answer a lot of the questions you may have in understanding the operation and the selection thereof. Also, they've got an article here on polarity, antenna polarity, and why it matters. Let's see, we've got an article here on the best antenna for the job, selecting the appropriate antenna for the use that you would like to pursue. Another article here for how to make those HF contacts, how to properly put out a CQ and pull out some of the DX traffic or just out making general calls. Break. We're here for a minute. And let's see, they've got a article here on upgrading to general. Now that might be of help. So some suggestions for getting your general class license. And an antenna project, of course, wouldn't be complete without at least one antenna project. Building a folded skeleton sleeve antenna looks to be extremely simple, and according to the expert that designed it, it can be quite effective, so that might be worthwhile looking at. And it also looks like it might be usable in a limited space. So let's see, public service. We got an article on Skywarn and the storm spotting first steps in helping the National Weather Service. Looks like a real good article. Also, I might note that they've got ARRL has a new text out on storm for storm spotters, and might be worth adding to your collection there, especially if you've got that storm spotter number issued to you. So that looks like another good one. And that looks like pretty much everything there that I wanted to point out. They had, they're showing the ARRL text that I highly recommend. One on basic electricity, basic electronics, basic antennas, and basic radios for those of you who wish to delve into those subjects a little bit deeper. And also page 17, they have some equipment design for noise canceling. BHI company has quite a few there to select from. I know we keep having these questions about folks having problems with noise and interference. You might take a look at some of that and see if any of that might be of value. AA0JK, have a great holiday season. AA0 back to net control.
All right, A0JK, K1DBC Net Control. Thanks for the information there, the On the Air magazine, November-December edition. Yeah, plenty of articles there, lots of antenna polarity, best in general. Yeah, a lot of antenna basics, and yeah, a lot of good things on there. On the Air, November-December. Very good information there. Thank you. All right, anyone else on that subject of antennas? There's a couple of other people with traffic, but if you do have access to the ARL publications on the air or QST, there's a lot of good archive online. So if you're an ARL member, definitely check that stuff out.
Kilo Foxtrot 0 CC K1 DTC. Should I get that backwards? Sorry, K1 DTC KF0 CC question.
Sorry, was that... Go ahead and repeat your call sign with the question once more. Sorry about that.
That's That's okay. I can try the other frequency if it's not coming through clear. KF0CUC. The question is around spurious emissions with some of these HTs. Does the club allow or do any testing of radios with regard to those spurious emissions?
Gotcha. This was KF0CUC, Andrew, with that, correct? Sorry.
That is correct. KF0CUC back to K1DTC. Thanks. I'm still getting the hang of it.
Hey, no problem. That's okay. Absolutely. So your question about spurious emissions and our equipment, are you talking about just the repeaters that we have or the radios that we use, or what are you speaking about there? Go ahead.
So I did some reading when I first got the radio I purchased, which was a Yaesu. One of my friends got a Baofeng, and as we were researching it, it seems that some of them may be putting out, modulation, I forget what it's called, but putting out on different frequencies they shouldn't be. So we were wondering amongst ourselves if there was anyone in the club we could work with potentially, we're thinking of joining to test the radios to make sure that they are compliant.
JK.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, there is some things with the Baofeng specifically. A0JK, go ahead.
Yeah, very interesting question there, especially, if you have radios that operate outside of the amateur bands. The big thing is to program your radios with good software. And as long as you've put in, even if you put in your frequencies manually, you shouldn't be having any problems. And as of yet, I haven't heard anything about spurious emissions. That used to be a big problem back when there was a lot of folks building their own radios. But with today's radios, I don't think that you will find anything in the way of that subject, problems with that with our current equipment. But if you happen to get any further information on that with the Baofengs and what have you, please let us know. We'd like to be able to follow up on that. But I have heard that some of them will operate out of the ham bands, and that is something you have to be very careful about. Make sure that before you transmit, look to see what frequency you are transmitting on. And as long as that's an amateur frequency within the amateur bands for the local repeaters and what have you, you should have no problems. Back to net control.
All right, A0JK, this is K1DBC. Yeah, thanks for the follow-up there. Yeah, there was a bit of controversy with Baofengs, and I think, yeah, what you'd mentioned, I think that's a lot to do with it, is they were able to operate, I think, GMRS, and in some other bands, and that's, I think, was one of the bigger issues. But I think the general emissions, RFI or RF emissions, I don't think there's much bleeding over really, as long as you have things programmed into your equipment. You can use something like a software-defined radio, like a $20 like SDR thing you can buy online. You can use that to really kind of analyze your signal and see really what your signal is doing and how far it's actually transmitting outside of the frequency that you're expecting it to. And you can test with different antennas and things like that. So that's one way you could do that, is use an SDR, software-defined radio you can buy online for about $20 to $30. But I'll go ahead and throw it back to you, Andrew, KF0CUC. If you have any follow-up, go ahead.
KF0CUC, I really appreciate the information you guys have provided. showed the Baofeng compared to other manufacturers. I'll definitely check out the SDR piece, and for sure I'm using RT systems on a Yaesu FT70D, and definitely checking that frequency to make sure that I'm following the rules that I should be with the technician's license. I appreciate all the input. Back to you, K1DTC, and thanks again.
All right, no problem. Sounds good, KF0CUC. Yeah, just definitely let us know on that, and yeah, that'd be great. So, yeah, it's always good to make sure that our radios are operating exactly as intended, and definitely not, are compliant and not are not compliant or non-compliant, and able to work well with the band. So, great question there. Okay, with that, we'll go ahead and throw it over to Jim, KE0NRE, with traffic. The net is yours. Go ahead.
KE0NRE, thanks for taking the net tonight, Daron. A little while back, a week or two ago, I had a question about interfacing my f.t.e.m, Yaesu f.t.e.m 400 to the computer so that I could do WinLink communications. In the time that I've had to look into that further, I've been able to sort out some of the hardware interconnections that need to be made, and I just wanted to share some of that with the folks tonight who might be listening or interested in doing something like that. I guess the traditional way to do this is to use the Signal Link TNC as the interface between just almost any FM radio and your computer. But in the process of doing that, I discovered another product which is kind of like that, that's a little bit more intriguing. It's called Mobile Link D, and instead of being something that plugs into your computer and requires a USB interface, it's actually got a Bluetooth interface, so you can use this as a hardware connection between whether it's an f.t.e.m 400 or it's a handheld or something else. It's self-powered, it's got an internal battery, and it does, as far as I can tell, the same sort of things that a Signal Link would do. So I just wanted to share that with anybody who was interested in this. I'm still looking at what software is needed to make the whole thing work as one piece, so I can do WinLink from PC to FM transceiver, but I just wanted to let people know if they're interested in that. I've got a little bit more information that I'd be glad to share. So back to that K1DBC, this is KE0NRE.
All right, KE0NRE, this is K1DBC. Excellent. Glad to hear that you found a solution potentially for your f.t.e.m 400 to get it hooked up to WinLink, the MobLink D. Yeah, I had heard of that in the past. I had forgot about that. It was a KISS TNC type device and Bluetooth. So yeah, that's great. So yeah, if you have any other information on that, let us know. All right, sounds good. This is K1DBC Net Control. So yeah, the MobLink D, Mobile Link D, excuse me, Mobile Link D. You can find more information on their website, mobilinkd.com. They have their new TNC3. Looks like it was just released. Okay, yeah, good luck there getting it hooked up to WinLink. Hopefully there is some sort of software solution there. Hopefully it can connect to PC and you can use traditional WinLink software. But yeah, let us know on that. Anyone else on that topic of FTM 400 and WinLink or the MobileLink D TNC used for packet radio connection? Go ahead, please call now. All right, next on the list here we had N0EYZ, Jim, with a question. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. This is Jim. I got a Honda pickup, and there's a receptacle under the dash for a trailer brake. And I've got the pigtail, and I want to put a radio in that draws 23 amps on transmit. My question is, it's almost impossible to get through the firewall on these new modern vehicles, but the pigtail for the trailer brake, which it's always on, it's a 20 amp circuit, it's 18 gauge wire. That seems a little thin for running 23 amps through it. Is that just a good way to burn my truck to the ground, or do you think that's safe?
JK.
Great question, A0JK. Fred, go ahead.
Yeah, burn the truck to the ground. No, that wire is way too light, and you need to run a separate line. I know it's difficult sometimes to find a way to get through the firewall, but with a little bit of hunting and whatnot, I've always managed to be able to find another wire or cable going in and just sharing that particular hole or item there attached to the firewall. But no, I would not recommend using that lighter wire for your radios. Try to find a way to run a line from your battery with appropriate fuses and get that fed through somewhere there. I understand your problem there with trying to get through the firewall.
Well, being 80 years old and hanging upside down and being like a three-headed monkey with a spotlight on my head, I know there's grommets there, but I just can't get to them. And I thought that's a good way to burn up my truck. So thanks for the info. I know there's some people in the Honda users group that are hams, and that's what they're doing, but I don't think I want to try it. Thanks a lot.
Yes, that can get quite expensive once you start burning up wiring. But you might call the Honda dealership and get some recommendations from them as to how to run cabling and wiring through to your radio. And also, if you don't mind talking to the fire department and the police department, especially the police department, see who is installing the police radios in their vehicles and maintaining them, and see if they've got some recommendations for running wiring to your radio. Might be a good source to consider. AA0JK.
Yeah, thanks for the info. I know where the dramas are. I just can't get to them and see them hanging upside down in the car. So it's too old to do that anymore. So I'll look for another way through. Thanks a lot.
We understand the situation. AA0JK.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, good question there. I know I had similar questions, things about when I was wiring my mobile rig and how to get through the firewall, and I was able to go to just a local mechanic, and they were able to just give me some tips on that too. But yeah, if you can't reach it, it's really difficult. Yeah, and also looking at just at a chart here on powerstream.com of gauges, and it looks like the gauge you had mentioned. 18 gauge, I think that would do 16 amps, and it looks like and you would need to be doing I think 15 amps to get, or 15 gauge to get to around 28 amps max. So yeah, straight wiring to the battery. It's difficult, but it's very well worth it. So great question on that. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control for the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. I'll just go ahead and take this opportunity to take any other further check-ins. If you just tuned in, this is Daron, K1DBC Net Control for the Denver Radio Club Net. It's an on-air meeting for amateurs seeking help, and Elmers giving their time to mentor and help us. Everyone's welcome to join in. If there is anyone who wishes to check in at this time, please do so with your call sign. Try to use IT Fanatics, your name, and state if you have traffic or questions for the net. Please call now.
November 0, Tango, Romeo, Papa, Jim in Lakewood. Good evening all and Merry Christmas. No traffic.
All right, Net Control wishes to welcome and following check-ins. N0TRP, Jim, thank you for checking in. All right, anyone else at the moment who wishes to check in, please call now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. There'll be a few more opportunities to check in throughout the net. But if anybody else has any other comments or questions, I don't see anybody indicated that they did. But if anybody does have any comments, questions, anything else for the net, please call now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. I don't have too much. It's pretty quiet during the holiday season right now. There was, let me drop here for a moment. I guess big news, big technology news, at least on my radar, was the SolarWinds hack. SolarWinds is a very crucial product for remote management and a lot of different things, and a lot of different federal government agencies and state government agencies. A lot of governments and private big businesses, things have used it. So there's been a hack of it, and there's been multiple state level agencies that believed to be responsible behind it, and it is it's just pretty big. Just what happens when technology. I mean, if something is made by human, it can be broken by humans. So just more info. If you just Google SolarWinds hack, you can find there's tons of coverage on it now. Luckily, a lot of the big companies, Microsoft, and are trying to, although they have been hit in some sort of manner, they have the tools necessary to really try to take back control over all of this, all of these compromised servers and things like that. So, yeah, just Google SolarWinds hack, and you can find more info on that. Just checking to see what else I have here. Again, it's been pretty quiet. Let's see, though. I guess there is a slow scan television event coming up December the 24th through the 31st from the ISS. So if you want to, it takes very little. If you have a handheld radio and a cell phone, you can basically just tune into the correct frequencies, 145.800, and anytime the ISS is passing over. Scheduled to begin December the 24th, 1640 GMT until the 31st at 1850 GMT. They'll be transmitted around 145.800, varying plus or minus 3 kilohertz Doppler shift, and SST is going to be, operation is PD, Papa Delta 120. But you could basically just use, again, a cell phone and some apps and your HT radio, or if you have a radio plugged into your computer, you can use something there too. So look out for that.
K1 DTC, this is a KF0CUC. Question on that.
Yeah, go ahead with the question.
So would you need to have a specific type of antenna in order to focus in on that, or would a simple rubber duck antenna that comes with an HT be sufficient?
Great question. I use a disco antenna on top of a 20-foot mast. It's not that special, really. It's just an all-band receiver antenna, but it is just high up in the ground. The ISS is line of sight, so I think HTs. I think I've seen some HTs pass packet radio messages to the ISS. So I think just a rubber duck would suffice for reception. Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that info. I do have another question if time permits. Back to K1DTC.
Of course, not a problem. Go ahead.
More of a topic suggestion that I'm interested in, but I had not found much in terms of Denver Radio Club around that, and that would be Summits on the Air. I didn't know how active the club was with that, or if that's big in Colorado, but it definitely piqued my interest. Back to K1DTC.
Yeah, great question there. We've had a couple of different presentations on SOTA, or that kind of covered SOTA, and I think, as you probably know, I mean, Colorado has, I think, if not most, some of the most peaks 14ers that we within the continental United States. So yeah, it's absolutely very, very prolific here. I'm not sure about the Denver Radio Club specifically. At least we don't do too much promotion of it, but I know a lot of our members probably participate in it quite a bit. Yeah, go ahead though.
K1DTC, that is actually all I have. I guess I'll just keep digging around, but certainly would love to hear from anybody out there who has experience with it, or knows kind of how to approach it in Colorado and get involved. That's all for me. KF0CC, back to you, sir.
All right, KF0CUC, this is K1DBC. Yeah, absolutely. I think if you just kind of head over to their site, the SOTA site, I think it's a little bit convoluted at first, but I think once you, and I haven't really delved into it too, only because it's just a little bit, there's just a lot of parts to it. But yeah, once you kind of get into a rhythm of it, I'm sure there's a lot of activity here, I'm assuming. So very good question though. Anyone else on that topic of summits on the air or parks on the air? There's a lot of these, and then there's Walmart parking lots on the air, and there's tons of these. So any questions on that or anything else you'd like to bring up? Please call now.
W0TX.
KE0 s.t.e.m question.
All right, yeah, KE0 s.t.e.m. Jonathan, go ahead.
Like a week ago, I was doing VHF stuff in the mountains. Can I find that just on the club website? I didn't get to catch it. KE0 s.t.e.m. back to net.
Good question. Yeah, that was Having Fun with VHF by Bob Witt, K0NR. I'm not sure if you can. It is on my YouTube page, though. So youtube.com/WEREGR8, Whiskey Edward Romeo, Edward Golf Romeo 8. And I think it's about the third one in, and you'll see it there.
JK.
Yeah, AA0JK, go ahead.
AA0JK, yeah. I was just doing a little bit of looking here for radio installations into Toyotas. And at Tacoma World, they've got a interesting looking article here. A gentleman installed his ham radio and a CB in his Tacoma. And he goes through installing the antenna and also running the electrical into the cab. And he's actually got what we would kind of call a bus bar, or actually it's a box that he's got set up on the just under the firewall on the passenger side inside the cab, that he's got multiple outlets set up for different for all of his radios. You might want to take a look at that. Also, along with that, they've got as you're looking for that, there's several websites here for installing the ham radios in Toyotas. So it looks like a lot of good information. I never gave this a thought as far as putting a voltage box inside the cab and then having multiple outlets for the radios. The box holds the fuses and the connectors there. So you might take a look at that. He's got a pretty slick installation. And let's see, what is that? TacomaWorld.com. Threads installing amateur radio in 216 Tacoma. And pretty nice installation. AA0JK.
This is Jim N0EYZ. I have a Honda Ridgeline, and I'll look at it. It might be helpful. I wish they were all as easy as my military Blazer. It's got a 24-volt system and 12 and 24-volt, 2 batteries and 2 alternators. It makes it easy, but I don't want to drive that every day. So thanks a lot for your information. I'll look it up.
Okay, and speaking of 2 batteries, that's something, if you've got room for a battery in the cab to where you don't have to worry about the firewall. I know for my HF rig, I have a separate battery for my HF rig that I have behind the seat, and I don't worry about running wiring through the firewall. I just have a whole separate battery, and it seems to do just fine for my needs. You know, as long as you're not going to be doing an extended period of time, you know, on transmitting. Actually, you've got enough juice in a portable battery, or, you know, there's a lot of options out there. And just have your battery source inside the cab. AA0JK.
Yeah, that's nice. And the nice thing about my Blazer, too, it's diesel, so you don't have to worry about any spark ignition noise. But in my Honda Ridgeline, I've got a 35 amp hour battery under the back seat, so that's what I'm using right now, and it works very well. So thanks for that, N0EYZ, and I'll be clear and listening.
All right, this is K1DBC. Good question there, or good follow-up there. Thank you, Fred, A and EYZ. Very good, very good. All right, anyone else? This is K1DBC Net Control. Anyone else have any other comments, questions, check-ins for the Learning Net? Please call down.
Kilo 0, Kilo Papa Sierra, Kevin, late check-in.
Whiskey Delta 6, Delta Oscar Kilo, Richmond, Arvada, no traffic, late check-in.
All right, we had K0 KPS, Kevin, and WD6 DOK, Rich. Got you both checked in. All right, anyone else like to comment? Any other questions or check-ins? Otherwise, I can pass a few bits of traffic and check back in here in just a moment. All right, favorite blog again over on hackaday.com. The Space Scope Teams Listen to the Galaxy is the headline here. Australia has always had a reputation for astronomy. It is a great site low in the southern hemisphere, and there are lots of sparsely inhabited areas free from light and radio interference. Some of the first video from the Apollo 11 landing, for example, came in from the Dish, a very large radio telescope down under. In Sugar Hill or Sugar something, Australian hobbyists have formed a group, Space Scope, where teams across Australia are building radio telescopes with the plan, which has been delayed by the pandemic, of collecting and providing it for public analysis. Secondary goal of the group is to provide better documentation for amateur radio telescope builders. So even if you don't live in Australia, you might still check out their website. It looks as though the documentation will arrive in the future, but there's a very informative blog post for a team member about their helical antenna design most of the teams are using to eavesdrop on the hydrogen line. Jeff had access to high-dollar simulation tools and some test equipment, so he managed to build an antenna that has good performance and is easier to build than some other common antenna types. Receiving gear that would have been astronomically priced a few years ago is now commonplace. If you have ever thought about building a radio telescope, this might be the time to do it. Because of the availability of software-defined radios, we've seen quite a few radio telescopes. Some are reusing old TV dishes and other Wi-Fi gear. Some more info, hackaday.com and spaceauscope.com. Space AUS scope.com.
W0TX repeater.
On the topic of astronomy, partially, we've had the Jupiter and Saturn conjunction. So if you haven't seen it, you might still have time to see it. Otherwise, there's media online of those two planets being very close together. I'm not too sure how close is. I didn't really do too much search, but they're close enough that you can see them in fairly close proximity. It's very cool on that.
They're a beautiful sight.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, find more info online on that, and it looks like it's a pretty rare occurrence. So very, very neat on that.
What is it, once every 800 years or something like that?
According to this article from our NASA, at least, it's been nearly 400 years since the planets passed this close to each other, and nearly 800 years since the alignment of Saturn and Jupiter occurred at night. So, as it allowing nearly everyone around the world to witness this great conjunction.
Yeah, if you miss it, just stick around for the next one.
Exactly. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Anyone else so far on anything I brought up or anything else you'd like to bring up, please call now. Again, yeah, absolutely. Happy holidays to everyone, whatever you celebrate or don't, but hopefully everyone is staying healthy, staying warm. We have sort of a tradition, or there is a tradition for Santa Nets. So if you Google Santa Net ham radio, you'll find plenty of information. There's CQ nets, there's HF nets, UHF, VHF. So if you have any youngins around you that kind of want to get in to the hobby or anything else like that, there's opportunities for that, especially during COVID, during these remote times. All right, another good blog, rtl-sdr.com. They have a post about the talks and tutorials from GNU Radio Days 2019. Looks like it was a conference, held last year. And plenty of topics on there in regards to software-defined radio, SatNogs, and how to building modern crowdsourced open network of ground stations for tracking satellites, using GNU radio to do signal acquisition analysis, embedded and connected receivers for nanosatellites in low Earth orbit. Tons of cool stuff. So this is from last year, but a lot of great talks on that. Some more info on rtl-sdr.com on that. Looks like a review here of a portable passive HF-VHF loop antenna. Kind of different things we've spoke about a little bit here. Over on his YouTube, Tech Minds has uploaded a new video, unboxes and tests a U-loop HF passive loop antenna with his AirSpy. The design is also known as a Mobius loop or noise canceling passive loop, NCPL. The passive nature of this antenna means that highly sensitive radios will work best with it. However, limited results may still be obtained with other radios. Advantages are extremely low levels of interference pickup and high portability. He explains in the video specifications of the antenna before demonstrating the intent of receiving the HF bands with AirSpy and SpyVerter. Also tests loop on VHF, demonstrating the ability to receive a distant 2-meter beacons. $34.95 on their store, and Tech Minds on YouTube for that review. All right, plenty more over on rtl-sdr.com, Romeo Tango Lima Sierra Delta Romeo.com. Articles about Filters 101, improving reception for your SDR. Puts in a video about RF filters such as high pass, low pass, band stop, and shows how that some have filters built in. There's an article about tuning a software-defined radio up to 6 gigahertz via an harmonic mixing driver hack. Crazy propeller head stuff here. So if you have any interest, and again, these software-defined radios from this specific, most of them too are there's some entry-level sticks, and they work quite well for about $20-$30. So pretty easy to get into this stuff and play around with radio. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control for the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. I don't really have too much else. If anyone else has any other comments, questions, check-ins, anything else you'd like to bring up for the net, please call now.
K1DBC, this is KF0CUC. I was just curious if you had any recommendations on apps. I've been looking at a few of the ones that are out there, but would love to hear if you had any that you had used before that worked well. Back to K1DBC, and thanks again for all the time tonight and the information.
Gotcha. Did you say app, like application? Was this for the slow scan television we were speaking about earlier?
That is correct. Sorry for the lack of context there. Either computer or tablet, whichever. I just wondering if there was any you were familiar with that worked well.
All right, sounds good. KF0CUC. This is K1DBC. Absolutely, yeah. At least on the on Android, there's an s.t.e.m image decoder called Robot36, which I've used in the past. Works really well. We've done some tests on a net in the past where I've transmitted using one of these apps, and people were holding up their phones to their radios or tablets to their radios and using that. So Robot36 is a great free app to do reception of SSTV. There's a couple of others. It looks like s.t.e.m encoder I haven't used. And then on the app store, it looks like there's I think we talked about this when we were doing it before. I think there aren't any free apps, I'm not sure. But there is one, SSTV Slow Scan TV, which looks like about $3. And I think people have used that and had really good success with that too. And then on PC, there is a version you can pipe your audio into, and I forgot what it's called, but it works quite well as well. But yeah, on the Android and iPhone, there's some pretty good apps that work there. Robot36 and SSTV Slow Scan TV on the iPhone. All right, sounds good. Yeah, good luck with that. I had a photo up here. This is brought on. It is on the ISS, but it's put on by the Russian cosmonauts. So the images you will receive are from the call sign RS0 ISS, and you will see some Russian images and a lot of just things about that. So, but it is really cool to see, nonetheless, and it's pretty amazing what we can do. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Anyone else? This is we're nearing just about the end of the net here. Any other comments, questions, check-ins, anything like you'd like to bring up for the net? Please call now.
Question.
Yeah, go ahead with the question.
Yeah, this is Whiskey Delta 6 Delta Oscar Kilo. I have a question. The old carbon film resistors, pretty much, I don't believe they're manufactured anymore, but can someone tell me what the difference is between a carbon film resistor and a metal film resistor, or any of the other resistors, whatever is available nowadays to replace that WD6 DOK?
Good question there. Carbon film resistors versus metal oxide film resistors. Just some preliminary Googling here. Voltage and temperature coefficients. Metal oxide film resistors have a better voltage coefficient and temperature coefficients than carbon resistors. The voltage coefficient is the change in resistance with respect to the change in the voltage. It is a ratio of the change in resistance to the change in voltage. Noise design. Metal oxide film resistors have low noise design as compared to carbon film. Tolerances. Minimum tolerance level of carbon is 2%. Doesn't stand a chance against metal oxide, which goes as low as 0.1%. And then finally, the size of metal oxide is much smaller compared to the carbon film. So these are the quick things that I've found here.
Okay, thank you very much, Jerome. I do appreciate it. So if you were to replace a carbon film resistor, then the way to go would be with a metal oxide now?
All right. Yes, looks like you can. There's maybe some rare applications where you can't due to the peculiarities of carbon comp resistors, but more than likely it's not. So yeah, you can and you should.
Okay, thank you very much for the info. W0TX, okay. I guess one other question, is there any downside to using the metal oxide versus the old carbon?
From what I'm seeing, no. It looks like carbon film resistors, the value actually changes over time. That's, I see no downside other than a very, very small percentage of applications not allowing it, but I see no downside. Just very quickly, just Googling it, I see no downside to that.
Okay, when you said they change over time, or maybe I misunderstood that, what were you referring to?
Again, yeah, I'm not an engineer, and this is kind of just a comment I'm reading by somebody. They state that carbon film values change over time. I don't know what that means, but I'm guessing maybe due to some natural properties, it may float from the original value that it was. But I haven't done enough research into that to know that.
Question?
Yeah, go ahead with the question.
What application are you looking at replacing a resistor?
Power amp.
Okay, make sure it's the right wattage, the proper wattage, and pay close attention to your color code, your bands there, to make sure that you've got the proper value, and make sure it's also wattage-wise that it is going to do the job without releasing smoke.
Okay, so a 1 watt in a carbon film, a carbon resistor would be equivalent in the metal oxide as 1 watt as well?
You should be just fine. And as far as the carbon ones, just like capacitors, old capacitors, just like us, dry out. The old capacitors, they dry out, And some of the older radios, sometimes it's best to go in and replace all the capacitors if they're apparently old piece of equipment. And same way with the carbon resistors. You got a good description there from Daron as to the nature of the resistors. You're going to be just fine, AA0JK.
Okay, do you know what he was referring to when they change over a period of time?
Age. They change time with age. They break down internally. The materials that they are made out of, that breaks down with age.
Okay, I guess that's what was referring to with the metal oxide as well, then. Everything changes with age, I guess.
I find that out every time I look in the mirror.
Yeah, I do too.
AA0JK.
WD6D, back to net.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, WD6D, okay. Looks like a little bit more further info on that is just the term of drift or shelf stability. It looks like they may carbon resistors can change plus or minus 2,000 ppm per year, which would equate to plus or minus 2 ohms for a 1 k ohm, so 0.2%. Resistors can change over 1 year. So if you're using them a lot, I think the carbon ones, they may change a bit. And yeah, I don't know, but I'm guessing maybe metal oxide may have some drift as well too.
Okay, thank you very much. I have looked it up, but it's always nice to talk to some people about it and see if we can further understand what's really going on.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, absolutely. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control for the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. We'll probably start to wrap things up here, but I'll put it once more out there. If anybody has any comments, questions, check-ins for the net, please call now.
W0TX repeater.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. I'll start to wrap things up here. Pass some club news. If you can find more info on our club, W0TX.org for the Denver Radio Club Denver Radio Club in general. More news on all of our nets on there, and meetings and net listings, and all the info for the club is on there. Next meeting will be January the 20th. No presentation topic yet announced, but it will be on there. Okay, yeah, again, happy holidays to everyone. Hopefully everyone is doing well. I don't have really anything else. With that, I will put out one final call. Anyone else like to check in for the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net just for the count? Please call now.
KF0 AFQ Troy.
All right, we had KF0 AFQ Troy. Thank you for checking in. Okay, this is K1DBC. If you wish to contact the Learning Net with topic suggestions to set a date to act as net control operator or guest Elmer, you may do so at any time via email at drclearningnet@gmail.com. You're also more than happy to just, any given Wednesday evening, if you'd like to try your hand at it, let me know, and I'll be more than happy to help you out. More info on the net over on groups.io/g/ham learning net. And we do have on our W0TX net lists, those links have been updated for the Wednesday night learning net, the ham learning net, as well as the YouTube. Again, youtube.com/WEREGR8, or if you search for W0TX or DRC on YouTube, you can find the live streams as well as past learning nets and Elmers sessions, the past meeting that we had, and any recent meetings and things like that. youtube.com/WEREGR8. This evening we had a total of 16 check-ins, and we'd like to thank and appreciate everyone who participated. We especially appreciate and thank our Elmers. Thanks to the Denver Radio Club for allowing us to use their repeaters for this net. We invite you to join us on the third Wednesday of the month at 6 p.m. for an Elmers session prior to the regularly scheduled Denver Radio Club meeting at 7 p.m. This takes place online, and as mentioned, this January 20th will be the next meeting. At 6 p.m. is an Elmers session, very similar to this, and then 7 p.m. will be the meeting. Everyone is welcome to both of those, and especially because it's online, you don't need to be a ham radio operator to participate in the Elmers session. Please join us next week, 1930 hours, for the Denver Radio Club Next Learning Net. All stations, please stand by while the repeaters are placed into normal mode.
PL on.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. 7-3 to all. Happy holidays. We will see you all next week. 7-3. I am clear.
Thanks, Jerome. Everyone have a good holiday. AA0JK.
All right, everyone here, take care, and we'll see you all next week.